Welcome to Being at Home with George. I'm excited to be here, and we've just passed the year anniversary of doing these offerings. And today, I'd like to begin as I normally do and talk about this idea of embracing whatever is present, whatever comes up, and at the same time, generating hope. And I was doing some reading this weekend, and I refamiliarize myself with one of my favorite philosophers and thought leaders. His name is Alan Watts. He passed away some time ago, but he wrote a book called The Wisdom of Insecurity. So that in and of itself says a lot about him. But also he was one of the first Western philosophers to introduce Eastern thought, Eastern philosophy, specifically around Zen, Buddhism, and the whole idea of what we would call mindfulness now, this idea of knowing that the only moment is the present moment. And so I wanted to talk about this idea of not escaping from the moment, but being in the moment by embracing it. We talk about that. The reason I talk about that is because the only way out is through. We have to say yes to what is happening before we can alter it or change it. And so a lot of us, we do things because we're trying to escape discomfort or unpleasant situations or things. And so this idea that we can put off things or look forward to the future, there's some truth in that. But the main idea here is the present moment is the only moment we have, and how we use this present moment sets up the next moment. And so when we talk about that, because if we don't do that, we end up just playing this shell game or just denial and blame and not taking responsibility for the present moment. And another quote that I want to share with you is, so long as the mind believes in the possibility of escape from what it is at this moment, there can be no freedom. And so if we're interested in freedom and love, uh, now is the time and here is the place. There's no other place that can happen. And I'm reminded of, I read this story called Acres of Diamonds, and it was just about this guy that was looking for a treasure, and so he was looking to buy places, so he's going places, digging up the ground and looking for diamonds, and he did that, and he wasn't successful. And then the thought came to him that all he had to do is go home and dig up his own yard. And when he dug up his own yard, he discovered diamonds that were there all the time. And so where do we take a stand? If here is the place, if now is the time and here is the place is where one stands. The place is what we're dealing with in this moment, in this time, in this place. And so we can start from there, and it's only from starting to there that we can start to get engaged in the activity of love, or being able to understand that we label what we love for and we love what we label for. So this idea of love being productive, and regardless of what happens. So when we embrace difficulty, challenges like this COVID time that we're moving through, you could describe that as a crisis. And what I'd like to say is a crisis has two meanings. One meaning is danger, which we get. The other meaning is opportunity. And I had the privilege back in the day, back in 1993, when I first started working with the Chicago Bulls, and they had just won their first three NBA championships. And when I went, I was Phil Jackson and I talked, and I was going to be introduced to the team during training camp, which is in October. And in between our discussion in the summer and training camp, Michael Jordan's father got murdered, and Michael retired. And so the team was in full blown crisis when I got there. And what I could offer them was this idea of yes, yes, embrace, yes, Michael's here, not here, and yeah, we're challenged and all of that stuff. And at the same time, it's an opportunity for us to step up, for people to step up and to see it as an opportunity for growth and development, and for exploring or allowing latent abilities to express themselves. And at that time, it's interesting because I was working in a stress reduction relaxation clinic at the UMass Medical Center, and I was dealing with teaching people mindfulness-based stress reduction, and that had to do with this idea of it doesn't matter what happens to us. What matters is whether we react to it, where there's no space between stimulus and response, or whether we create space between stimulus and response. And we can do that by understanding how to be still and know how to pause it and how to look at things in a mindful way where we're not being critical, we're not interrupting, we're not interpreting, we're just having a mirror mind and really getting a full picture, getting all the raw data that we can about what is happening now, what is going on. And once we can get a clarity of that and we can embrace it, then we could generate hope and say, okay, so how do I want to be? How do I relate to this in a way that is not stressful? It doesn't cause more stress. It doesn't cause more suffering, but actually is an opportunity for more loving, compassionate living and making wise choices. And so to me, it really is where we are now, this idea of now is the time, here is the place where we stand, and we can take a stand in terms of how do we create space so that we can make choices that are in alignment with our core values. And I'm assuming the core value of love, freedom, compassion, peace that we're interested in. Then how do we make the proper choices? And that can only happen by embracing things as they are and then generating hope. But the hope has to be in alignment with what do we want? What do we want to create? And so for me, it's all about living fully, living creatively, being at peace, being at ease, experiencing love, compassion, or just presence of mind. And so this idea of being present and feeling connected to ourselves, feeling connected to the present moment is really important. And the only way to do that is to be still and know, and at the same time, just say yes to whatever's happening. And then based on that, how do we relate to it in a way that empowers us to, in that space, to be more loving, to be more generous, to actually seek to understand. Because it's really interesting that understanding and love are equal. You know, when we love something, we understand it. And when we understand something, we love it. And so it's this idea of love being an activity, but wisdom or insight or understanding is really, really important. And so instead of being afraid of things or living in anxiety, because as Alan Watts, who is this philosopher that I talked about, that introduced Eastern philosophies to the West, as well as he wrote this great book, The Wisdom of Insecurity. And basically what he's saying is there's no security to be had, but once we accept there's no security, then we're not chasing something that doesn't exist. And when we understand that the true freedom is in the moment, to be able to be ourselves, to express ourselves, but it has to be predicated on what is. It can't be on, some future love that we're looking for, some future event. Yes, we want to look to the future, but the main thing is future love does not exist. So love is a present activity only, not a feeling, but an activity. So what am I doing to be able to be productive and to actually have a hand in how I experience tomorrow? Because today sets up tomorrow. So if I can handle today, manage today, be as present as I can and make the best choices I can make, then tomorrow I'll either be able to continue to work off of that, or even if I make mistakes, I can correct the mistakes, and then it still puts me on the path. So am I going to fall down? Am I going to make mistakes? Yes. As long as I understand that I'm on the ground and I made a mistake, once I embrace that and say yes, and how do I relate to it in a loving way where I can say, what do I need to learn? What's the lesson? And then from there, now I'm on this path of transformation, of growth, and how do we get out of where we are by understanding now is the time and here is the place.